does. Call Allstate.
The snap is good. The hold is good. And Biasucci with a 55-yard field goal, the longest of his career. And Marv, he actually had a little despair there. He missed the 49-yarder. It is raining, and he's got a slight breeze behind him. But this is a monster kick. And Ron Meyer, yeah, he'll take a 55-yard field goal any day.
Art Biasucci's previous high was 53. He hit 6 field goals from 50 yards or more, an NFL record last year. And the return by Bobby Humphrey. He was able to break tackles. Michael Ball getting him out of bounds. For those of you who have just joined us, Houston defeating Chicago 33-28. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy from Mile High Stadium in Denver, where the Colts have taken a 3-0 lead on the Broncos on that 55-yard booming field goal by Dean Biasucci. Eric Dickerson stretching with that pulled hamstring. The NFL record for longest field goal, 63 yards by Tom Dempsey of the New Orleans Saints. First down from the 34. Humphrey with the hole. Picks up short yardage on the play. Now check around the scoreboard. The early games, these are final. Houston defeating Chicago. Miami knocking off Cincinnati. At Cincinnati, the Giants over the Redskins. Atlanta nipping New England 16-15. And San Francisco with Steve Young for the injured Joe Montana coming up with a victory in the fourth. Detroit leading Tampa Bay. Second down and 7. Denver from the 37. Elway got the tie and completes. Vance Johnson cutting over the middle for the first down. Tackled by John Baylor, who is starting for the injured Chris Good, who's out with a sprained hamstring. Back to the scores in the later games. Kansas City leading the LA Raiders. Art Shell with his home debut as head coach. San Diego in front of Seattle, and Philadelphia Phoenix no score. Pittsburgh 3-0 over Cleveland, and New Orleans leading the Jets 6-0 in the first. Kyle Mackey replacing the benched Ken O'Brien. First down play, inside handoff. Mel Bratton down to the 45 in Indianapolis territory. Quintus McDonald makes the stop. Mel Bratton, a rookie out of Miami. Broncos gambling on drafting him, hoping he could come back from that severe knee injury that was suffered 2 years ago in the Orange Bowl.
What they want out of Mel Bratton is good blocking. That time they give him the ball. Him and a man named Alexander, number 40, both excellent blocking backs for Bobby Humphrey, they hope, throughout this season.
Second down and 3, and a hole for Alexander, who has the first down. Fred Young on the stop. Good block by the right guard, Jim Juriga. So Jeff Alexander, the blocking back, running for the first down.
One of the things the Broncos will try to do to you is just dizzy you with formations. There you see a nice pull by 66 Juriga, and luckily he's hitting a defensive back. Prior the weak safety. That's something an offensive lineman love to do, pound on those defensive backs.
Elway and the Broncos first down at the Colt 40-yard line. And Elway completes for another first down. The tight end, Clarence Kay, stopped by the strong safety Michael Ball. That went for 10 yards.
Again, Marv, another formation. Indianapolis is going to have difficulty with this all day long. Just matching up with exactly who is where in this offense is something that Dan Reeves has done historically here as the coach with the Denver Broncos.
Elway now 4 for 7 for 38 yards. We welcome those of you who have been watching Atlanta and New England. We're at Mile High in Denver. Marv Albert along with Bob Trumpy. Indianapolis Colts lead the Denver Broncos 3-0 on a 55-yard field goal by Dean Biasucci. Well, they have brought out the yardsticks. It is very close.
That's about as close as it can be without being a first down.
Just shy, inches away.
It's raining here in Mile High Stadium. And so far, the Denver Broncos' choice has been run the ball. They've got 4 first downs rushing, 2 passing, and a very multiple offense so far. See the clouds, about 50 degrees here today in Denver.
2nd and inches. Tight end Mobley in motion, and Humphrey has the first down. So Bobby Humphrey is surging to pick it up. Dwayne Pickett on the stop. A couple of weeks ago, the people here in Denver were discussing the fact, as the media was dealing with it in great detail, that the Broncos had simplified the offensive scheme, but many of the Denver players said we don't see anything that simple about it.
Yeah, John Elway put it very well. He said, yeah, we've simplified this offense, but that doesn't mean it's simple. This is a very complex offense. And Dan Reeves knows that.
It is a first down at the 28. And the bullet thrown to Mark Jackson. He took a hit that propelled him forward inside the 25-yard line. Quintus McDaniel with the hit. I should say McDonald, the rookie out of Penn State.
This is a gutty move by Jackson when he makes this catch. Not thrown particularly well by Elway, but he goes back inside. Now, inside are the fat guys, the guys that are the heavy hammers. Wide receivers usually like to get up underneath that first guy and then get outside, because that's where the little guys are.
Now Mark Jackson is split out to the left side. 2nd down and 6 at the 24. That is Vance Johnson, 82, in motion. And off the draw, Humphrey. Ankle tackled by the inside linebacker, Fred Young.
Oh, that is a big tackle, too. If Fred Young does not make the tackle, Humphrey goes. Played off the block. Watch Fred Young, 56 on the right. Alexander, 40, leads on him, fights through the block. Actually, I think if Humphrey cuts to the right there, he goes for 6. That's a rookie choice, but that's a big tackle by Fred Young.
Just under a minute remaining first quarter. 3rd down and 4.
Watch Steve Sewell here. He's in the backfield. He's a big receiver in these situations. He gets it.
And Sewell has the first down. Fred Young on the stop. Sewell, a 5-year pro out of Oklahoma. He can run the ball, he can catch it, and occasionally will throw it.
Sewell touches this ball on 3rd downs a lot. Here he is, and he's just going to run a little out, and you get lots of depth by the defense, and it's wide open for Elway with good pass protection. All he's doing is running deep enough to get that first down. That's his 8th catch to convert a 3rd down into a first down so far this season.
And John Elway, who has not had a particularly, at least by Elway standards, outstanding season, is off to a good start. 6 for 9 and 4 for 4 on this drive. The first quarter has come to a close. The Colts with a 3-0 lead on Denver. Will be back at Mile High in a moment.
Last year, Nissan introduced the incredible new Z for world-class performance. The Maxima, the 4-door sports car for luxury class performance. And the 240SX, performance for the fun of it. This year, Nissan introduces the Stanza. Now you can get something completely different in a performance car. Your family.
Hey, Radio Shack's having a great sale.
Everyone's having a sale.
Oh, yeah, listen to this. Radio Shack's 49.95 microcassette recorders, just $33.88. A 1995 AM/FM pocket radio, now only $10.88. And over $100 savings on an AM/FM stereo cassette car radio. Even an AM/FM clock radio with cassette for only $59.95. Ellen?
Keep talking, I'm listening.
Check your Sunday paper for Radio Shack's spectacular fall sale supplement. Or pick one up today at Radio Shack, the technology store.
In today's higher revving and hotter running engines, Wear is a greater problem than ever before. Oil breakdown can shorten the life of vital engine parts. That's why there's Castrol. Castrol provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol, because driving today can be a grind. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Welcome back to Denver. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy. The last time we saw this man on an NBC telecast, it was Sacramento last Saturday alongside the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, running for cover at a boxing event that turned out to end in riot style.
Yeah, Marv, you gave me lots of advice, but you didn't give me a hard hat. That's what I needed. I went to a fight, and a fight broke out.
You must have gotten that line from the fight doctor.
No. I thought that one of myself.
Very nice, Bob. Well, John Elway, for those of you who may have just tuned in, yesterday was considered to be a question mark because of a thigh injury. Eric Dickerson with a pulled hamstring, also a question. Both have started. Both have been in there right throughout. The Colts with a 3-0 lead as we get underway, second quarter. And Jeff Alexander refusing to go down. Mike Pryor and Wayne Bickett combining to make the stop. So Alexander getting the call for the second time.
That was an audible as you look at the late scores coming in on the 10-minute ticker. That was an audible at the line of scrimmage. The Indianapolis Colts defense does a lot of moving just before the snap. And the Denver Broncos are trying to adjust to what they're doing. They try to run a trap up through there real quick. Good tackle, or he scores.
It is a 2nd and 6. The ball down at the 7-yard line. Bobby Humphrey and Jeff Alexander are the running backs. Vance Johnson in motion. Here's Humphrey with some room. Pickett and Young prevented Humphrey from taking it into the end zone.
That's a lag draw. Nice lead block by Alexander, number 40, and a good push off the line of scrimmage. So far, the Denver Broncos offensive line is doing a pretty good job. You can see the push up there. Nice little trap by 54 Bishop. Not quite enough to get into the end zone, but they can get a first down without getting in the end zone. Here you see Fred Young, 56, and Dwayne Bickett assist on the tackle.
And it's a 3rd down and 2. The ball on the 3. Colts 3, Broncos nothing. Sewell flanking out to the left, but the handoff to Humphrey. The Broncos think he's in.
He is.
And he is. Good block by the left tackle, Gerald Perry. So Denver has taken a 6-3 lead.
Boy, Marv, that's a nice drive. 12 plays, 66 yards.
And here is David Treadwell to attempt the extra point. Eric Kubiak putting it down. So Denver has moved in front of Indianapolis by the score of 7-3 with a minute and a half gone by in the second quarter.
You have to drive it to believe it. The new Accord.
The lights on these cars are running on battery power alone. And in the end, only one, the car with the new Die-Hard battery, our most powerful ever, is able to start. Great low prices every day, Die-Hard power. That's your money's worth and a whole lot more.
You're looking at the reason McDonald's coffee tastes so fresh. It never gets a chance to sit around. McDonald's coffee tastes fresh because our coffee's always pouring.
Leading money winner Payne Stewart, Curtis Strange, and a field of golfing greats tee off at the Walt Disney World Oldsmobile Classic next Saturday on NBC.
David Treadwell, the first-year player from Clemson, getting set to kick it off. Broncos now with a 7-3 lead on the touchdown by Humphrey, his third of the season. Verdun and Risen are back. Clarence Verdun. Covered well by the Broncos, reaching out near the 25-yard line. Tim Lucas on the tackle, along with Darren Carrington. And we'll take another break. Back at Mile High after these words.
Halloween approached, the phantom of the fridge struck again. My secretary Susie was waiting. Waiting.
The Phantom stole the beer.
Coors Light?
Not now, thanks. I'm driving.
Any clues? Aisle 4. A high-heeled shoe, a black cape, the Phantom? Prancer!
Enter the Coors Light $100,000 Phantom of the Fridge sweepstakes. Look for clues at this Halloween display and get your Coors Light before the Phantom does.
Good night, Andy.
It's 8:47. It's 22 degrees. And Andy Cavanna's father is learning all about his antifreeze.
Dad, where are you?
The hard way. Don't push your luck. Guarantee it with advanced formula Prestone.
This isn't an ad for a car company. This is an ad for Zenith's 35-inch digital television with premium stereo and the incredible experience of Dolby surround sound. When you have a Zenith television like this, you'll want to hurry home. Zenith, quality.
NBC sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Coors Light, pure brewed in the Rockies. The silver bullet won't slow you down. It's the right beer now. By Honda, who invites you to test drive the new Accord. You have to drive it to believe it. And by Zenith, the quality goes in before the name goes on.
This capacity crowd with the chant of defense as the Indianapolis Colts go back to the offense. First down from their 24. Denver 7, Indianapolis 3. The quarterback, Jack Trudeau. Too short for Eric Dickerson.
Bob, you could see at the last minute the Denver defense change. Wade Phillips, the new coordinator here, trying to disguise coverage and defense as best he possibly can. One of the things they want to do is get this splendid rookie they have, Steve Atwater, at the line of scrimmage as much as possible. Now watch Atwater move at the last minute. See, they're changing the entire read that Trudeau has. Coverage downfield, ball thrown short, right at Dickerson's feet.
It is a second down and 10 from the 24. Dickerson, and they handcuff him. Carl Mecklenburg stopped him after a 1-yard advance. Andre Townsend, the nose tackle, also in on the tackle. So the Colts will have a 3rd and 9 at the 25. These the late games. Kansas City with a 7-3 lead in the second quarter. Seattle and San Diego tied at 7. No score. Philadelphia and Phoenix. Pittsburgh 3-0. New Orleans 6-0 in the first.
Again now the Broncos with 7 defensive backs, a 4-man front and 7 defensive backs, Mark.
3rd down 9. Trudeau with time, but goes short. Again, the receivers well covered. Now the Broncos looking for the call of completed pass and fumble, but it is ruled incomplete. Dickerson did not make the catch. So a good defensive series by Denver. And Indianapolis will be forced to punt for the first time. Ron Stark checks in.
You can see all the defensive backs here, Marv. They're all over the place, and it really makes it tough for Jack Trudeau to find anybody open. We'll count them for you after the kick.
Ron Stark coming off a so-so performance last week against Buffalo. Gets the hang time. Bell lost it. He muffed it, and it is goodbye. Bruce Plummer.
Can't be a touchdown, but he gets it at the point where he picked it up.
Bruce Plummer calling for the touchdown as he ran it in, but the officials are calling it back.
Comes back to the spot where it was touched by Ken Bell. Now, that punt was going into the wind. And you can see it definitely touches his fingers, no question. Bounces right up into Plummer's hand.
I don't know. Did it touch him?
Yeah, well, we're going to have to look at that again. Plummer used to play for the Denver Broncos, so certain delight in that particular play. We'll look and see if that ball was touched by Ken Bell or not.
As Halloween approached, the Phantom of the Fridge struck again. My secretary Susie was waiting. Waiting.
The Phantom stole the beer.
Coors Light?
Not now, thanks. I'm driving.
Any clues?
Aisle 4.
A high-heeled shoe, a black cape, the Phantom? Fetcher!
Enter the Coors Light $100,000 Phantom of the Fridge sweepstakes. Look for clues at this Halloween display and get your Coors Light before the Phantom does.
Oh, sorry.
I guess I'm old-fashioned. I think people should be able to eat good food without spending much money.
Excuse me.
So Wendy's is introducing a new super value menu. Oops. Everything on it is at a special low price. Biggie drinks, biggie fries, chili, including our new Junior Bacon Cheeseburger. Delicious food that leaves change in your pocket.
Oh.
What do you have to know to get a seat around here?
Come try the super value menu at Wendy's.
Union, yes. Respect, pride. Our unions help make sure you take home more than just a paycheck. You take home your dignity.
America works best when we say union, yes.
Morning, folks. This is Captain Neely. Appears we've got the friendly skies all to ourselves.
While most people are just getting up, one airline is off to over 200 business centers across the U.S. United.
Thanks for flying the friendly skies.
The Eagles, the Raiders, and Bo. Then Montana, Bryce, and Brave. The 49ers battle the Patriots. An NBC football doubleheader next Sunday.
Now, they have ruled on the field that Ken Bell did, in fact, touch the ball. And Indianapolis gets the ball at that point. But why not the touchdown?
We'll have to check that out. They did take a look at it on the instant replay.
Fumble by Trudeau.
Yes, Plummer was able to pick it up and run it in. The Colts thought they had the touchdown.
Marv, I think if the muff happens in the air, you can advance it. But when it hits the ground, that's the spot where the call takes place. In the air, you can advance it, but on the ground, you cannot. That's why the Colts do have the ball there, but a big turnover by Denver.
Well, the ruling is you cannot advance a muff. And so that is why it is called a turnover. Indianapolis takes over, but do not get the touchdown. Dickerson on the option. Dickerson rather looking to throw. And Michael Brooks was right there.
One of the things that Indianapolis is suffering with is they depend so much on Eric Dickerson. And they've got to try to find ways to get other people involved in the game, because you can see everyone committing to Eric Dickerson. 55 Dennison, 92 Carricker, Brooks 56. They're all over there. They're not going to give him a chance to turn up the field. They got to get Bentley in the ball game here. Give him the ball. Take some of the pressure off Dickerson.
It's a 3rd down, 17 at the 40. Trudeau out of the shotgun. On the screen, Dickerson bobbled, held on, a penalty marker down as Dickerson ran to the 30, met by Andre Townsend, and there is a flag down.
I think you got an offensive lineman downfield. Offensive lineman downfield, yep. Middle screen set up. The offensive lineman went too far. Ray Donaldson, 53, standing right at the line of scrimmage. And this is a timing play, and he's just too far downfield. Now Dickerson has great difficulty hanging onto the football. Flag is thrown quickly. And this is a major penalty.
Ineligible receiver, downfield, number 53, still 3rd down.
So that is the center, Ray Donaldson, playing in his 183rd straight start. He has made it to the Pro Bowl the last 3 years.
Oh boy, this is a tremendous missed opportunity for Indianapolis. They get the ball at the 32, and now they're all the way back at the 49.
It's a 3rd and 27. Trudeau not able to complete through the hands of Bentley, who is covered by Tyrone Braxton. There is Albert Bentley. And so the Colts not able to take advantage of that Denver turnover. Ron Stark will check in, and this crowd responding to the defensive effort of the Broncos. Trudeau now 3 for 9. He started quickly. However, he has missed on his last 5, has not come up with completions. Here's Stark for his 2nd punt. Ken Bell is back again, this time at the 10. And again, able to pop it high. And Bell has trouble with it once again, but is able to cover up. 41-yard punt. Bell hearing it from the crowd. Bell is not a speedster. Denver likes him back there because normally he's sure-handed, but that has not been the case here in the first half.
If you thought you had to give up comfort to get a close shave, Norelco says, think again. Their revolutionary shaving system shaves skin close in a way that's incredibly comfortable. As the hair enters the chamber, the patented lift and cut system lifts each hair and holds it a split second before a blade cuts it, so it's possible to shave skin close without the blades even touching the skin. The lift and cut shaving system from Norelco. We made close comfortable.
This is a machine built for absolute dependability. And these are its hardest working parts. The uncompromising mechanics of American Airlines.
Lean, all-American beef. A mountain of golden fries and waves of icy Coca-Cola. Oh, what a beautiful way to enjoy America's meat and potatoes. Only at McDonald's.
Mar, back to that muffed punt return by Ken Bell. You can't advance a muff, and a muff, of course, is when you have no control of it. You don't change the impetus of the football. Just slips through his hands, and when Plummer touches it right there, that's where Indianapolis gets it.
And the last punt to Bell, who continues to have his problems, he was able to cover up. And as a result of this play, this is where Denver will start out back at their 8-yard line. And there is Ken Bell, a 4-year man from Boston College. He was converted from running back to wide receiver in training camp. He's a backup wide receiver. You can, of course, advance a fumble on a punt return if the catch is made and then it's fumbled and then it's picked up. It's a different story. But the ruling on the instant replay was that Bell did touch it. That was the first criteria. And then, being that it was ruled a muff, they said that Plummer, who picked it up, could not run it in. Here's Humphrey with a hole and a cut, working his way close to the first down marker. Mike Pryor, free safety. on that whirling stop of Bobby Humphrey.
Broncos doing an excellent job of running the football here in this first half. Again, Juriga, 66, pulls out in front. See a nice block by Clarence Kay on Dwayne Bickett. That's a nice 8-yard pickup, and of course the ground can't cause a fumble. Make it a 9-yard pickup, so Denver keeps the ball second and less than a yard.
And they're working from the 17 again to the ground, and a first down on the slant is collected by Humphrey. Jeff Harrod, the inside linebacker, making the stop.
Dan Reeves told us yesterday, Marv, that there are two things that he decided for the Denver Broncos this last offseason. They were going to run the ball with more authority. They were going to stop the run. And in the first 5 games of the season, they have done just that. And that's why they're 4-1. It hasn't pleased a lot of fans here in Denver, but it's produced 4 wins.
Some of the complaints have revolved around the fact that Denver has not played what can be called exciting football, but on the other hand, it is pointed out they are 4-1. First down from the 21. Humphrey picking his way out to the 29. Stopped by Harrod. So he went for 8 more. And Humphrey in 10 carries has picked up 40 yards, off to a good start. Bobby Humphrey, who said he'd like to prove the doubters wrong, those who saw him before the NFL supplemental draft, and said that he could not bounce back from that broken left foot.
Marv, one of the things the Broncos like to do is bring these tight ends in motion and then lead them. And that's exactly what happens on this play. Orson Mobley, 89, coming across there. He'll get a nice block on the outside, kind of stretches the defense, and that's right where Humphrey goes.
Now to the fullback, Alexander, and he has the first down. So the Broncos have established the running game in fine fashion. John Baylor, Quintus McDonald combined to make the stop on Jeff Alexander. 3 carries, 20 yards for Alexander.
Pretty much having their way with this Indianapolis Colt defensive front 7. The offensive line of the Broncos doing a great job of just getting that little seam for the running backs.
Denver first down from their 38. Denver 7, Indianapolis 3. Halfway through the second quarter. And again, it is Humphrey, and this time he is bottled up. The combination of John Hand and Harvey Armstrong, the nose tackle, and the right defensive end. And an exchange of words between several Broncos and Colts.
That happens. Greetings, salutations, you know, things like that. To this point in the season, this young man, Harvey Armstrong, has played very, very well for the Colts. He's stood up against a lot of pressure at that nose tackle, but to this point in this game, he's not having a very good game. He's getting blown off the line of scrimmage. He's got to stand his ground, get it better against Keith Karts, the big center for Denver.
Sammy Winder has come on. He and Alexander now in the backfield. Vance Johnson in motion. Second down and 10. Elway to throw. Elway under pressure. Elway able to elude the pressure. John Hand appeared to have him, did not. Jeff Harrod finally made the stop.
Oh, that's surprising. I thought they'd rule him in the grasp. John Hand is the guy who puts pressure on him. You'll see him. He almost jumps offside. He gets by Keith Bishop, 54. I'm surprised the referee did not call that in the grasp. And Elway, with that pulled thigh muscle, does not run very fluidly, but not bad. Does look like he will have some mobility today.
A pickup of 5. Third down 5. Apparently, as long as the quarterback is moving forward, they do not give the in the grass call. Vance Johnson with the first down and some more. Eugene Daniel on the stop. 12-yard advance, and Elway has hit his last 5. So John Elway now 7 for 10. 64 yards.
Again, it's part of that big motion package that the Denver Broncos use. They like to flank people all over the place, and here you see Vance Johnson. Inside comes outside, and Daniel can't keep up with it. And of course, Elway has time. This is a little 3-step drop, 5-step drop pattern for a first down pickup.
And it's a first down at the Colt 46-yard line. Now the short setup, and nearly picked off by Eugene Daniel. In intended for Mark Jackson.
Double coverage. No chance to get that ball into. It was intended out there for Mark Jackson. No chance whatsoever. This is a 3-step drop. He's committed to throw out there. Look, coverage in front, coverage behind. That was a rocket out there, and Daniel just couldn't hang on to it. Broncos lucky there, Marv. Very lucky.
Eugene Daniel certainly had a good shot at it. He's playing with a sore ankle. Indianapolis a little banged up in the secondary. 2nd down and 10. And here's the draw for Winder. We're told that Bobby Humphrey with a rib problem, and they're checking him out. That's the reason that Winder is in there right now. Fred Young on the stop of the 8-year pro from Southern Mississippi, Sammy Winder. That's his first carry. Over 5,000 yards on the ground for Winder during the course of his Denver career. 2nd leading rusher in Bronco history, right behind a man by the name of Floyd Little.
Not a bad one. Good rushing yardage. Denver is getting exactly what they want. Stopping the run and getting the run.
3rd down, 5 at the Indianapolis 41. Lots of movement, as you saw. Penalty flags thrown. Elway throwing over the head of Vance Johnson. Mitchell Benson appeared to be the man who jumped last week against San Diego with what they call the hard count. Elway drew the Chargers offside 6 times by changing the inflection of his voice during that snap count.
The strange thing is, too, is the guy that jumps off sides is the guy who was looking at the football. 95 Benson is lined up right over the center.
Clear your throat, Bob. It's embarrassing.
I got a bad cold. I apologize to all of you out there. But you would think the guy who was lined up right over the football knows that you don't move until the ball moves.
Offside, number 95 of the defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
Mitchell Benson is a rookie out of Texas Christian, a 3rd-round draft pick. And there he is.
Obviously listening and not looking. And John Elway will take advantage of every defensive lineman in the league that does that.
And there's Mitchell Benson, number 95, to the sideline. It's a 3rd down and 1. And Elway picks up the 1st down. So on the quarterback sneak, John Elway able to pick it up. And Denver holding on to that football for long portions here in the 2nd quarter. We're down to 3:50 remaining. They have a 7-3 lead on Indianapolis. A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the end of the contest. This the 143rd sellout in the last 145 regular season games at Mile High. The 2 exceptions during the strike 2 years ago. 1st down at the 34. Mel Bratton. Penalty marker is down. So Bratton getting the call once again. He was stopped by John Baylor.
Holding offense.
That's holding, number 67 in the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 1st down.
That's the rookie Doug Wydell, who was out there pulling in front of Mel Bratton. That's the old college counter. They put Bratton at wingback on one side and bring him all the way across the offense.
Look around the NFL. These the late games. 2nd quarter scores. Seattle and San Diego now tied at 10. And Pittsburgh maintains the 3-0 lead. New Orleans 6-zip over the Jets. It's a 1st and 20. Denver back at the Colt 43-yard line. Just under 3 minutes to go. 1st half. Elway with the deep drop.
Oh, look at this.
Sammy Winder. He slipped down right near the 1st down marker. Covered by Mike Pryor.
Fred Young misses the tackle. You can see the way they set this screen up. It's just going to take place right here, and Fred Young misses the tackle as Winder kind of sneaks through here. The line come out in front of him. This is a well-executed play by the Denver Broncos. And watch how close to Fred Young comes. Fred Young comes to stopping this play completely. Good move by Winder. Brings up 2nd and 10. Make that 2nd and 1.
A 20-yard advance. This is a drive that started on the Broncos' 8-yard line. And Elway for Winder. And has the first down and some more. Inside the 10.
Fumble.
Now let's see if they called it. If they called it dead. Yeah, he was down. A 14-yard run by Winder, and watch the block by the tight end, number 89, Orson Mobley.
He delays, and then you see Mobley, 89, up through the middle on Jeff Herrod, 54. Winder in relief of Humphrey. Another nice run.
And now the 2-minute warning. So that gives us a break. We'll be back after this.
Most important aspect for a good pass rusher is you have to have at least 4 or 5 moves and use them like a chess match. I've just cornered the market on a move called the club. It's all set up by me making a hard step outside and then club him and come back inside. The word that I would like to use is relentless. You can have 2 or 3 guys blocking you, but if you keep coming, if you never say die, then good things will happen for you.
Honda. It's the finer points that make the difference.
When you have to travel the straight and narrow. Milk it for all it's worth.
Used to be, if you wanted a keg of beer at your party, you were talking major hassle. But now there's something better. Party Ball from Coors Extra Gold and Coors Light. You see, instead of this, you get this. Over 5 gallons of brewery fresh beer in a portable plastic container. You just pack it with ice, push in the handy reusable tap, and party with a bunch of your friends. Then recycle the container. So forget the hassle and pick up a Party Ball at your favorite store. Because it's just not a party if you don't have a ball.
Roxanne Pulitzer thought she had it all.
You're everything I could ever want.
The right man, the perfect marriage.
I'm so happy.
But she never thought her husband's desire
I want you to do something for me.
would become a battle to save her children.
Herbert can't get those kids.
I want my children.
Based on the divorce that shocked the nation, the world premiere event, Roxanne, the prize Pulitzer, Monday.
Watch the end of this last play. The ground can't cause the fumble. Winder after a 14-yard pickup. Broncos retain possession.
And it's a 1st and goal at the 8. And a nice cutback by Winder. But Michael Ball, the strong safety, stopped him right around the 5-yard line. So coming up, the 14th play of the drive. The time of possession for the Broncos on this drive, better than 8.5 minutes. 14 plays, 88 yards. Last week against San Diego, Denver had only 3 possessions in the first half. Denver's been a very strong first half team. They have outscored opponents 72-23 in the first half, then have cooled down. This is Alexander. He took a hit. Jeff Alexander was stopped by the inside linebacker, Jeff Herrod.
Now, Mark, coming into this ballgame, there was great concern by people in Denver about this young offensive line. You've got a lot of new guys in there. Keith Kart's the center, playing number 72, first year at center. Gerald Perry, the left tackle, first year there. You got Jim Jariga playing guard. But run blocking today, they have done an absolutely outstanding job. Look at that bow once again in the Colts defensive line.
And there has been a question as to whether Elway has been comfortable with this line, which has contributed to some of the unimpressive stats. The 6 for 19 against Cleveland a couple of weeks ago. It's 3rd and goal from the 2. Elway with the long count, and Winder is stopped by John Hand. Clock is running as we move down to 20 seconds to go in this first half. It will be a 4th and goal from the 1. Elway looking over at Dan Reeves. Broncos have a 7-3 lead. They now have called for time, and the clock stopped with 12 seconds remaining.
Tough choice here for Dan Reeves.
Do you go for the 3 or do you go for the touchdown? 1 yard away. Well, we'll find out when we come back. Back after these words.
Wouldn't it be great if lawyers showed up to tell you that someone you didn't even know left you like $8 gazillion? And wouldn't it be great if the lawyers brought beer? Really great beer like Keystone. The fresh, cold filtered beer in a can that tastes like beer in a bottle because of Keystone's specially lined can. And wouldn't it be great if your boss called demanding information and you said, call 411, introducing Keystone and Keystone Light. Bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great?
Life's full of simple pleasures, like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
The Eagles, the Raiders, and Bo. Then Montana, Bryce, and Brave. The 49ers battle the Patriots. An NBC football doubleheader next Sunday.
Well, the Denver Broncos certainly have been doing it on the ground. As you look at the play selection on this drive, John Elway is back on the field for the 4th and goal from the 1. Broncos with a 7-3 lead on the Colts with 12 seconds remaining in the first half.
Last week they ran an end around with Steve Sewell and got it in the end zone. Tough choice here by Dan Reeves, but one of the things you might think about is getting the defense to jump offside so you get a half-to-distance penalty. Make it just a little bit closer. Let's see what happens.
Alexander and Winder are the running backs. And it is Elway, and he is pushed back.
Bad call. Very bad call. Well, you take a timeout, you consider what you're going to do in the sideline, and you run a quarterback sneak. I think you outguessed yourself there. That's not a call I would make.
What would you have called?
Well, you got a good lead blocker and Alexander lined up behind him, and Winder, a good tough running back, and at least they've got some momentum going to the line of scrimmage. I imagine Danny saying that's not a good choice.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents Legends of the Game. He was the bull in the Dolphins' ball control offense, a classic fullback who rushed for over 8,000 yards in his career and was at his best in the big games, racking up over 100 yards rushing in Super Bowl 7 and 8. Who was this legend?
Liberty Mutual presents The Fire That Never Happened. Because we continually work to prevent fires, even to giving Liberty Mutual homeowners special insurance discounts when they install smoke detectors. Caring for people is why America believes in liberty.
Lovely evening.
America believes in liberty. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Larry Zonka smashed his way to the MVP award in Super Bowl 8 and into the Hall of Fame, a true legend of the game.
I thought this would be a Halloween like any other when my secretary Susie came in.
The Phantom of the fridge is stealing all the Coors Light.
Beer?
Not now, thanks. I'm driving.
Who was the Phantom? And why was it stealing Coors Light this Halloween?
Enter the Coors Light $100,000 Phantom of the Fridge sweepstakes. Look for clues at this Halloween display and get your Coors Light before the Phantom does.
Well, Dan Reeves going for it. 4th and goal from the 1. It did not work. And with 6 seconds remaining in this first half, the Colts take over and just surge forward to run out the clock. So that is the end of the first half. And that's one of those plays where when it fails can be deflating. There's no way of figuring. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
No question, Marv. They ran the quarterback sneak earlier in the game, and they did get the first down. But on the goal line, that's a tough call for a coach to make.
So at halftime, the Denver Broncos lead the Indianapolis Colts by the score of 7-3. NFL Live's halftime is just ahead. We'll be back later on here in Denver.
Nissan took the new Stanza to the test track to prove how well it performs in the real world. The available anti-lock brakes worked flawlessly. On the banked track, the 2.4-liter 138-horsepower engine proved itself the most powerful standard engine in its class, while the front and rear stabilizer bars made short work of the slalom course. Our test drivers were very impressed.
Here in Indianapolis, we have a proud history as a racing capital of the world. This was one of the fastest cars in 1912. Over the years, a lot of things have changed. Today, this car is winning at speeds of 200 miles an hour or more. I'm Dwayne Bickett of the Indianapolis Colts, and I want you to see something that we're really proud of here in Indianapolis. This is a Noble Center for retarded children and adults. Jim Irsay, our team's general manager, is a member of the board here. Like every member of the Colts organization, he's involved because he cares.
It isn't just another agency or program to me. It's a chance to fulfill a personal commitment I have to our retarded citizens. When you put your mind as well as your heart into caring, you've got to ask the question, how can I help? What can I do? And the answer is here, through this United Way program. That's why our team and players like Dwayne give to United Way.
Because of United Way, it brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
NBC sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Nissan, built for the human race. NFL halftime activities will continue after these messages from your local station.
They've got reason to celebrate.
We've got the money.
That's my dough. $1 million that could break him in a million pieces. You got something that belongs to us.
I want to be alone with you.
Have Richard Crenna. Check, please. And Tyne Daly got a payload that'll rearrange their lives.
I can't believe this.
Or their faces. They're stuck with each other. A romantic comedy Tuesday.
It's almost over, but it's not too late. All brand new 89 Lincolns and Mercurys are now priced below factory invoice. $4,000 below factory invoice on some models. Yes, while they last, all new 89 Lincolns and Mercurys are priced below factory invoice.
All remaining 89 simply must be sold.
Please, don't miss your chance to save like never before.
None will be held back.
At Dick Dollar Lincoln Mercury, give us a chance. We will save you money.
In every town in America, there's always one place that does a little bit better job of fixing your car. And it seems the things they all have in common are great mechanics, great service, and Napa parts.
National and lifetime warranties available at these Napa Auto Care Centers. Joy's Auto Clinic in Caldwell. Dale's Wheel Alignment, Nampa. Jerry's Repair in Notice. Country Repair in Nampa. Max's Auto Clinic in Nampa. C&R American Service in Middleton. And Loman's Quick Service, Caldwell.
This is KTVB in Boise, Idaho's news channel.
Okay, welcome back to our NFL Live studios in New York. Bob Costas along with O.J. Simpson. A huge day today for Herschel Walker of the Vikings in his debut at the Metrodome, and Juice and I will talk about it in just a moment. But first, here are all the finals from earlier today, and then in the next segment, we'll update you on the games in progress. At Soldier Field, Houston, a team that had lost 52 of its previous 62 road games, upset the Bears, scoring the last 14 points of the game. The final, 33-28. Let's take a look at some of the highlights, and you'll see Dan Hampton, the outstanding defensive lineman who in 11 years in the league has had 9 knee injuries, thinking about retiring now, and who can blame him? Here's Mike Tomczak in the third quarter, scrambling away from trouble, hitting Dennis Gentry, who taunts the defense. Come and get me, he says. Nobody can. At that point, 21-13 in favor of the Bears. A tremendous, fully extended catch by Haywood Jeffries on this one from Warren Moon makes it 21-19. They missed the extra point. Now it's Tomczak to lengthen the lead to 28-19. James Thornton capping a 70-yard drive with that catch. Mike Ditka with some encouraging words for Tomczak, but nobody was smiling on the Bears sideline when it ended. 12-yard touchdown run inside the 2-minute warning by Lorenzo White, set up by a 60-yard gallop from scrimmage by Alan Pinkett. And there you see Tomczak's reaction, or Ditka's reaction, to what transpired. Tomczak did throw 3 touchdown passes, but Ditka was displeased as he was intercepted 4 times. There were 6 Bear turnovers in all. It's the first time in 2 years that Chicago has lost back-to-back games. Houston wins it 33-28. Elsewhere, Miami, trailing 13-3 at the half, shuts the Bengals out at home in the second half, and they win 20-13. Ickey Woods watching from the sidelines on crutches as he watches his Bengal team lose at home for the first time since 1987. It was promising at the beginning. Rodney Holman wide open off the play-action pass from Boomer Esiason. It covers 38 yards. Dan Marino, after a shaky first half, begins to rally the Dolphins in the second half. He hits Mark Duper for 44 yards. That sets up a touchdown that comes 3 plays later when Marino bootlegs in from the 1, his first touchdown running in 2 years. He didn't throw for a score today, but he did have 266 yards through the air, drove them down to 5 yards out. Ron Davenport bulls across in the 4th quarter. That was the winning score. Miami evens its record at 3-3. The Bengals now 4-2, 20-13, the final score at Riverfront. The Giants make it a 2-game sweep in their divisional rivalry this year with Washington. The Giants win 20-17 at the Meadowlands. This was one of the key plays. Phil Simms hitting Odessa Turner for this 25-yard touchdown in the 4th quarter extended the lead to 20-10. They were able then to withstand a Mark Rippon 5-yard scoring pass to Art Monk with just over 3 minutes to play, because when the Giants got the ball back, Otis Anderson helped them to grind out the rest of the time. As the clock ran down, Anderson carried 25 times for 101 yards today as the veteran makes his presence felt in the absence of the injured Joe Morris. Now, Atlanta and New England on a 9 seconds to play field goal by Paul McFadden, a 22-yarder. Atlanta pulls it out 16-15 with 9 seconds on the clock. They do it at home. Neon Deion Sanders had a 60-yard kickoff return to highlight the victory. New England's Greg Davis, a former Falcon, had kicked 3 field goals against his ex-mates, but the key in the game, he missed the extra point after a Flutie touchdown pass of 15 yards to Cedric Jones, and so at that point, they missed the point that could have given them 16, and they wind up losing 16-15. San Francisco wins at Dallas. Cowboys played them tough, but eventually San Francisco goes to 5-1. Cowboys to 0-6, 31-14. Steve Young in relief of the injured Joe Montana guiding the victory. Detroit has its first win of the year. They upset Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. Rodney Peete with a 5-yard scoring run on 4th and goal with 23 seconds remaining. Detroit wins at 17-16 at Tampa Bay. Minnesota and Green Bay, the Vikings win 26-14 at home. And let's take a look at some of the highlights. Herschel Walker set to make his debut, and what a debut it was. This is the first time he touches the ball, backing midway into the end zone, thinks about it, decides to bring it out. He covers better than 50 yards with it, although the play was called back because of a penalty. Now we'll move ahead to the first time he touched the ball from scrimmage, and he's going to go 47 yards, his longest run of the season. During the run, he loses a shoe. Otherwise, he might have gone all the way. There it is. He throws a shoe, but he's caught from behind by a lineman. And on the next play, Tommy Kramer was intercepted, so the drive was stopped. But still, the Vikings go on to win 26-14, and Walker carries 18 times for 148 yards in his Viking debut. The Vikes also sacked Don Majkowski 8 times, 4 of them by Keith Millard, who leads the NFL with 12 sacks individually to this point in the season. Juice, what about Herschel?
Well, you know, the mark of a superstar is a guy who can inspire his football team, and that is exactly what Herschel did today. His team was getting pushed around by the Packers up until that 47-yard run, and after that run, they played some real inspired football. And not only is he giving them the grounds, the yards on the ground game, he's giving them some inspiration. I think this team is going to be tough from this point on.
Great day for the Vikings. They beat a divisional foe. Herschel makes a tremendous debut, and the Bears lost in the meantime. Can't ask for more than that if you're a Viking fan. We'll continue after this.
Halftime in Denver, Broncos 7, Colts 3. A 55-yard field goal by Biasucci of Indianapolis. That is a career high, and Bobby Humphrey with a 2-yard touchdown run for the only touchdown of this first half. Broncos with the lead. Now to NFL Live and Bob Costas.
It's Cosby's best season yet.
Time is short. Time is running out to make the best car buy of the year. Folks, Bob Rice has absolutely the lowest car and truck prices of the year. The factories have tremendous incentives, and there's still a good selection at the factory outlet, but they are going fast. Right now. Now is the best time to buy. Don't let credit fear or a down payment problem keep you from having a new car at a bargain price. Shop and save big at Bob Rice's factory outlet.
You're watching KTVB, Channel 7 in Boise, Idaho's news channel.
And a welcome back to those of you watching the Indianapolis-Denver game. Bob Costas in New York. As you know, the Broncos leading at the half 7-3, holding the Colts to only 2 first-half first downs. Elsewhere, the Raiders are in front of Kansas City. The score is 10-7. Halftime at the Coliseum. Bo Jackson's 2-yard scoring run gave the Raiders the lead. He's carried the ball 7 times, though, in the first half for only 10 yards in his football debut for this year. Seattle and San Diego, seconds to go in the second quarter at San Diego. They're tied up at 10. It is a turnover fest in Phoenix. Philadelphia has given it away 4 times. The Cardinals 3 times. Al Del Greco just kicked a 41-yarder for Phoenix. They also got a safety earlier. And with Tom Tupa, their third-string quarterback, in for the injured Gary Hogeboom. Neil Lomax already gone for the season. Phoenix leading at home 5-0, almost halftime there. Pittsburgh, you may recall, turned the ball over 8 times in that 51-0 home field embarrassment against Cleveland in their first game of the year. Well, today at Cleveland, they're leading 3-0 in the second quarter, and Cleveland has turned it over 4 times in this game, equaling their entire turnover total for the season coming in. It's 3-0 Pittsburgh. The Steelers are resurgent even without the injured Bubby Brister at quarterback. The Jets just got a 34-yard interception return for a touchdown at the Superdome. They've taken the lead over New Orleans 7-6. Kyle Mackey for the ineffective Ken O'Brien at quarterback. He hasn't gotten the Jet offense going either, but the defensive score gives them the lead by a point, and it's almost halftime there. Now, finals from earlier today. Houston, which had lost 52 of its previous 62 road games, scores the last 14 points in the fourth quarter, and they upset the Bears at Soldier Field 33-28, following a 60-yard run from scrimmage by Alan Pinkett to set it up. This is the game-winning touchdown. Lorenzo White from 12 yards out. It comes just inside the 2-minute warning. After that, Tom Zach was intercepted. That was the 6th turnover, and we checked out Mike Ditka's post-game press conference.
When you have teams like we play, we make people great players. So there'll be a couple guys that will take one step closer to the Hall of Fame because they played against the Bears today. And am I aggravated? Yes, I'm aggravated because I don't remember feeling this bad in 1982 when I knew we couldn't play football. Now, I don't know if we're capable of winning another football game. I don't think we are at this point.
It's always in character, isn't he? Houston 33, Chicago 28. Elsewhere, quickly, Miami down 13-3 at the half, rallies to beat Cincinnati. First Bengal loss at home since '87, 20-13. The Giants squeak out a victory over Washington, swept the series against them 20-17 at the Meadowlands. Atlanta beats New England 16-15. Atlanta winning by virtue of a missed New England extra point midway through the game. San Francisco wins at Dallas. The Cowboys hung with them for a while. Steve Young guiding the victory. Joe Montana out, injured elbow. San Francisco wins 31-14. The Cowboys are 0-6. San Francisco's 5-1. Detroit wins at Tampa Bay. Detroit's first win of the year. Rodney Peete, 5-yard run with 23 seconds to play on 4th and goal. That gives them the win 17-16, upsetting the Bucs. And what did Herschel Walker do? 18 carries for 148 yards as Minnesota, in Herschel's debut, wins against Green Bay 26-14 at the Metrodome. And we continue right after these messages.
At 50+. He's got a little wind behind him, but this is a monster kick. You're right, he missed the 49-yarder, but he had another 5 or 6 yards in that kick from 55.
And that is short of a Colts record. We should point out back in '82, one Dan Miller hit from 58 yards away. But that a play that people will be talking about throughout. Of course, we'll have to see what the end result of the game is. But Dan Reeves out of character in making this call.
Very much so, with an inventive offense like he runs with 2 tight ends in the ballgame all the time. 4th and about I'd say a yard right at the end of the first half. He goes to John Elway as opposed to giving it to a running back. And you can see the total dominance by the Denver Broncos. In the second quarter, the Colts had 6 plays for a -2 net yards. The time of possession clearly in favor of the Denver Broncos, but they only have that 1 score. They've had their problems inside the 10, and I think Dan Reeves probably kicking himself for that quarterback sneak at the end of the first half.
And here is the kickoff by Treadwell. And this time, good coverage on the kickoff on Clarence Verdun. So Jack Trudeau coming out to get this second half underway. 3 for 9, 41 yards in the first half. Trudeau coming off knee surgery, injured in Game 3 last year, missed the rest of the season. He's taken over for the injured Chris Chandler.
They have just 55 net yards through the first half. If nothing else, this offense should feel fresh.
Trudeau was telling us yesterday that he is feeling better and better. His first start against the Jets, he felt antsy back there. Now he's kind of settling home in the pocket. It is dropped by Pat Beach, the tight end, not able to hang on. Trudeau started well, but has not been able to come up with the completions after the early portion of the game.
Rick Dennison that time on the tackle. Now, this is a difficult defense to throw on because Denver likes the double rotation zone under Wade Phillips. That is corners up, safeties to the outside third. So the only place you can really throw it is down the middle, and this Denver defense has very active linebackers. Should be a tough day all day for Trudeau to throw it.
Now Rison at the top of your screen. He is flanked out to the right side. Trudeau looking the other way for Brooks, who was covered and then threw it a crowd. Pat Beach, the intended receiver. Carl Mecklenburg on the coverage.
Thrown behind him. Trudeau is trying desperately to find a wide receiver somewhere. Has to come back to the alternate receiver. You should see Beach throughout this. Now Trudeau keeps his feet moving. Nobody open outside. Comes back to Beach, and Beach moves a little bit, and the ball thrown just behind it. Brings up a 3rd down and 10. Colts not starting out very well. 3 for 11 now for Trudeau. Just 41 yards passing.
Incomplete his last 6. 3rd down 10 at the 24. Second half just getting underway. And now goes sideline. Incomplete. Verdun not able to come up with it. So quickie series. Mark Haynes on the coverage of Clarence Verdun. And the Colts drop back into a punt formation.
You can see the soft coverage. It's zoned by the Denver Broncos. And of course this ball just underthrown a little bit, so Verdun can't get back to get it. Last 3 drives by the Colts, 3 plays and a punt.
So here's Ron Stark punting to Ken Bell, who's had a couple of adventures. He's back at his 30-yard line. Bell again has difficulty and lets it go.
Now see, when you miss that first one, it puts in your mind the rest of the day, when in doubt, get out of the way.
It's a 59-yard punt helped by that sizable roll, and Bell just did get out of the way.
The wind is swirling here in Mile High Stadium, and he had a muff in the first half that ended up in the Colts recovering it. They didn't score, but they got great field position and missed the opportunity. And now Ken Bell is second guessing himself. Help from his friends on the sideline.
And it sets it back to a 1st and 10 at the 17. Bobby Humphrey, we're told, after x-rays were checked out, bruised ribs, and no word on whether he will return. Elway got the time, and it's dropped by Vance Johnson. So Sammy Winder in the backfield. Humphrey also a man who can return punts, but that takes him out of the picture.
Now there's a ball that should be caught by John Elway. And John told us yesterday, look, I don't really feel comfortable in the pocket, but we're working on these young offensive linemen for protection, and this time he does get time, and it should be caught, and it's dropped by Vance Johnson.
2nd and 10 from the 17. Denver with a 7-3 lead on Indianapolis. Just getting started, 3rd quarter, and the completion this time to Johnson, who has a 1st down. Eugene Daniel on the coverage, an 18-yard pass play. Vance Johnson, who caught 6 balls last week against San Diego, making the catch right here and going for the yardage.
Johnson turns Eugene Daniel every which way but loose. And that ball he catches.
And that's his 4th reception of the day for 42 yards. Vance Johnson, terrific athlete, blazing speed.
That's now Denver's 12th first down in this football game. And Indianapolis has 2, Marv.
89, the tight end Mobley in motion. First down from the 35. Winder. Pick up a 4 for Sammy Winder, who is now getting the playing time with the absence of Humphrey. Dwayne Bickett on the stop of Winder. Dwayne Bickett chatting with us last night on the subject of Australia. His parents live in Australia. His dad works for an Australian cotton firm. And his parents actually follow the NFL on the Australian Game of the Week. And we're not talking Australian rules football, Bob, but Dwayne said the Colts have rarely been featured on the Australian Game of the Week. It's a 2nd down and 5. Elway. And it is picked off by Fred Young. Mark Jackson, the intended receiver. On the lateral, it is Mike Pryor. And so, John Elway is intercepted.
Marv, this is a strange one. Elway does such a good job of play faking that Dwayne Bickett is right there in his face and doesn't even know that Elway has the ball. The beginning of this play is, watch this. Now from the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see Dwayne Bickett come in. There he is right there. He didn't even see that Elway has the ball. Then Fred Young makes an outstanding catch, and knowing he's not very fleet of foot, he pitches it back to Mike Pryor, who runs it back 20 yards on the return. Watch once again. Bickett right in his face, should not have been thrown. And Fred Young makes a sensational interception.
And let's see if the Colts can take advantage of this turnover. Eric Dickerson stopped by Tyrone Braxton along with Simon Fletcher. That's the most impressive run of the day for Dickerson.
Yeah, you know, this is the 2nd time now the Denver Broncos have given the Colts great field position on that muffed punt, and now the interception and return.
9-yard advance, 2nd down and 1 at the Denver 26. 6 carries, 23 yards. That's been it for Dickerson. Dickerson again. Got the hole, has the first down. Free safety Steve Atwater, Denver's #1 draft pick, the rookie from Arkansas, making the stop on Dickerson. There is Atwater. He is a safety who is bigger than many linebackers at 6'3½".
Charlie Waters told us he's got great leg strength. He needs a little more upper body strength, but they don't mind putting him right up there at the line of scrimmage.
And a first down at the 20. Trudeau is now only 3 for 12. He has missed his last 8. Off the draw, Dickerson to the outside. Dickerson is tackled down low at the 16 by Wyman Henderson. So the right corner, Henderson on the stop of Dickerson, who is seeing a lot of the football on this drive.
Did you see that straight arm he put on Simon Fletcher? Watch. Puts the ball in his left hand. Look at that straight arm. Runs right away from the outside linebacker. And Henderson goes for his legs. Probably a good idea against Eric Dickerson. Given a lot of credit for his foot speed. Very few people pay attention to his strength. And he can run over people.
And on this drive, it's Dickerson for 9, Dickerson for 6, Dickerson for 5. 2nd down and 5. Down at the 15. Dickerson again. And he is stopped short of the first down. Pushed back the other way by the right defensive end, Ron Holmes. He is starting at the right defensive end position for Andre Townsend, who has been moved to nose tackle in place of the injured Greg Cragen.
They come right up the gut here, and this time the defensive line of the Broncos right there. You see Mecklenburg cuts down one running lane. Holmes there to assist on the tackle. And the defensive coordinator of the Broncos, Wade Phillips, first year here.
They're looking for a new name for the Denver defensive unit. Orange Crush is passé, they feel. And Wade trying to come up with one. Nice touch pass from Trudeau to Andre Rison. Stopped by Wyman Henderson, and it sets a 1st and goal down at the 3.
That time the Broncos came with the blitz. So you had man-to-man coverage. Man-to-man coverage, top and bottom. You see Rison at the bottom of the screen. Nice pattern run outside. Trudeau gets it to him.
And they're at the line quickly. No huddle. Here's Dickerson. And he's stopped back behind the line by Ron Holmes. will be a 2nd and goal. Ball placed at the 4, so Dickerson lost a yard. 5 minutes gone by. 3rd quarter. Denver with a 7-3 lead on Indianapolis, but the Colts are threatening.
There's Wade Phillips. Son of Bum, but now this is his defense, and the players here love it. They like to play his defense.
A swarming type aggressive defense employed by Phillips. Trudeau able to complete, but Mark Boyer is kept away by Steve Atwater.
That was a hit. Marv, actually, Atwater is right at the line of scrimmage like a linebacker. You see Boyer coming in motion, and Atwater knocks this ball loose. See, the ball is loose on the ground. Boyer able to get it back. That was a great hit by Steve Atwater.
And that goes for no gain. It's a 3rd and goal from the 4.
Watch for Bentley here. Albert Bentley, number 20, is playing on the wing, far side.
Rising to the right, and a timeout has been called as they lined up with Brooks in the slot right position. So a timeout taken, 8:43 to go in the 3rd. Denver with a 7-3 lead on Indianapolis with the 8th play of this. He has scored a touchdown on a 2-yard run. Raiders with a 10-7 lead. Seattle, San Diego tied at 10. Phoenix with a 5-0 lead now in Philadelphia off a field goal by Al Del Greco from 41 yards away. New Orleans back in front of the Jets, 13-7. 8:43 left in the 3rd. It's a 3rd and goal from the 4.
Denver with 6 defensive backs in the ballgame. Rather odd alignment at the goal line.
It is Dickerson surging his way, and they have stopped him. The strong safety, Dennis Smith, with the first hit on Eric Dickerson. It is the hurry-up offense, and the Colts will go for it on 4th down. Trudeau for Dickerson, and he is stopped again. The combination of Andre Townsend and Steve Atwater stopping the Colts. Eric Dickerson. Broncos take over 1st and 10 from their 2-yard line, and Sammy Winder got the call. Inside linebacker Fred Young on the stop.
While we go back to that last play, the reason Indianapolis comes to the line of scrimmage quickly is they got the defense they want, which was 6 defensive backs by Denver. But Mecklenburg 77 and Atwater 27 along with Andre Townsend right there to make the tackle. Again, the Colts outsmarted themselves.
Winder picked up a yard, 2nd and 9. And again, Winder. Nothing fancy down here. The Broncos just looking to get away from the end zone. Jeff Herrod made the stop. Winder getting the call. What with Bobby Humphrey now sidelined with injured ribs. Humphrey, incidentally, carried the ball 11 times for 37 yards. And we have not received a definite report as to whether he would be available to return.
Colts have now missed on 2 opportunities. Had that not punt with good field position, no points. And this drive after the interception, again, no points.
Elway now looking at a 3rd down and 6 from the 6. And he goes sideline for Sewell. He was covered by Bruce Plummer. And now the Broncos will go into a punt formation. Mike Horan checking in. Clarence Verdun will set up back at his 50-yard line. A 7-3 Denver lead. 6:50 to go in the 3rd quarter. The Broncos come in at 4-1, 1st In the AFC West, victories over the KC Chiefs, LA Raiders, Buffalo in Buffalo. Last week they beat San Diego, lost in that controversial game to the Browns in Cleveland. Ran deep in his end zone. And here's Verdun. He had a back pedal, and that's a very slippery footing. Could not go the usual circle route, and it was covered down by Darren Carrington. Verdun likes to circle, looking for position. A 47-yard punt, and Verdun lost 3 on the return. 76,000 on hand at Mile High Stadium. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy. 6:41 remaining in the third quarter. Denver with a 7-3 lead on Indianapolis, and the Colts back to the offense, taking over at their 43-yard line. To this point, Eric Dickerson has been held well in check. And off the play action, that is the first sack of the day. Simon Fletcher makes it 7.5 for the season to move in front of Ezra Johnson of the Colts.
The play action fake did not fool anyone. It looked like Simon Fletcher got around Pat Beach, the tight end 81, and was there for an easy sack. Well, the Colts, they keep stubbing their toe out here. They get decent field position and again go backwards.
First sack this afternoon of Jack Trudeau. 2nd and 21. Back at the 32. That ball was deflected but caught by James Pruitt. His first reception of the season. Mark Haynes, however, was right there, and it's a short pickup. There's Pruitt out of Cal State Fullerton. In his 4th season in the NFL, Don Shula gave up on him in Miami because of what he felt was lack of consistency and concentration. A guy with a lot of talent, but has not been able to do it. 6'3" wide receiver. 3rd down and 12. It's time left in the 3rd. And Trudeau throwing deep downfield for Risen, who fell down as he was racing with Tyrone Braxton. Check that, Wyman Henderson.
Henderson 24, Braxton 34, but the coverage was outstanding. Trudeau, very, very poor day to this point. 6 of 16 for 60 yards.
And here is Ron Stark back at his 26. And a good one. And let's see, now he lets it go, all right?
Look at that thing.
And a break for the Colts.
Ken Bell just can't buy a good break today. He muffs one, muffs another, lets 2 bounce. A 53-yard punt, and poor field position again for the Broncos to start.
Oh. That was off a 1st and 10 from the 6, and Elway able to cover up.
Well, there have been these little glitches today for both football teams that have basically put themselves in lousy field position. That's the 4th fumble that the Denver Broncos have had today. They've only lost 1. Karts doesn't look like he gets it up there. 72 the center. First year at that spot, but now 2nd and 10, and it's pressure on these young kids for the Broncos to pass protect.
Karts playing for the injured Billy Bryant, a 3-year pro out of University of California. 2nd and 11 now at the 5 off the draw. Nice move by Sammy Winder. All right, a check of the 10-minute ticker. Houston over Chicago. We start with the early games. Miami knocking off Cincinnati. Giants over Washington. Atlanta beat New England. San Francisco over Dallas. Detroit with the victory. Minnesota led by Herschel Walker, who ran for 148 yards in his Viking debut. It is a 3rd down and 1 from the 15. And again to the draw for Winder. And has the 1st down. Donnell Thompson on the tackle. Good block by the right guard, Jim Juriga. And Sammy Winder has come on and has played well. 9 carries, 48 yards. As you look at the later games, Raiders with the lead Touchdown for Bo. Seattle now leading San Diego. Phoenix with that 5-0 edge on Philadelphia. Always strange to see a 5-zip score. Pittsburgh maintaining its lead, and New Orleans in front of the Jets. First down out of the 20-yard line. 3:15 to go in this third quarter. Elway with the time, and then pegs one deep for Sewell. Check that, Jackson. Mark Jackson, the intended receiver.
Jackson ran the out and up. Good play action. I take that back. A straight drop back. You see Elway kind of looks over here at short and then goes way deep. Not a good day for John Elway. 9 of 17, 100 yards and an interception. And there you see, just overthrown. Looked like 38. Eugene Daniel was the man, had the coverage short. Pryor was there at the end.
John Elway came in bothered by a pulled thigh muscle. Practiced the last couple of days. Working out of the shotgun again. Going sideline. And Vance Johnson came back to make the catch. And a good one for a first down. 12-yard pickup. And for Johnson, his 5th reception of the day. He was covered by Daniel, and he curled back to come up with that throw.
He gets pressure. Elway does right here, but here's the pattern. It's just a nice little out, and he does get that great foot speed of his. It gets Eugene Daniel wondering what's going on. You see, Elway doesn't really follow through on that, but with arm strength, still able to get it out there for the completion.
And a first down at the 32. 7-3 Denver leading Indianapolis. Look at the time for Elway. And he goes to the middle for Johnson. Out at midfield. Stopped by Daniel. 18-yard pass play. 6 catches, 72 yards for the 5-year man out of Arizona, Vance Johnson.
This is zone coverage by Indianapolis. He does a great job of pushing him off. And Elway has got a week to throw back there. Daniel stays with him. That's a nice job of pass protection by the offensive line, who to this point in the season is a little bit suspect. But now, because of that good running game, Elway's getting time to throw.
First down midfield, draw play, Winder. Short pickup, Fred Young, 4-time Pro Bowler, while with Seattle makes the stop. Fred Young acquired from the Seahawks last year for 2 number-1 picks. Major investment by the Colts. Some feel they gave up a bit too much.
Well, he's just learning the defense on it. Last year he had a defense from Seattle learn, and he comes to Indianapolis, learns the defense, and now with Bill Muir, the new defensive coordinator, who's learning a 3rd defense in 2 years.
Second down 7 at the 47. The tight end Mobley, 89 in motion. And a flag thrown. Elway able to complete. And again, it is Vance Johnson on the reception.
That's Alexander, the fullback. No illegal procedure, so this will be nullified and brought back.
Illegal motion, number 40 of the offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Referee Dale Hamer calling it as you called it on Jeff Alexander.
Watch number 40. Yep. Just takes a step forward. That's all it takes. You can't be going towards the line of scrimmage. So, again, just a little stubbing of the toe, and it puts more pressure on the offense.
And they're checking out the hand of John Hand. Last week it was John Hand who had the hit on Jim Kelly that knocked him out of the lineup with the separated shoulder.
Ezra Johnson is in the lineup to take his place.
Second down 12 from the 48. Elway off the roll, and it's incomplete. Sewell could not hold on. Bruce Plummer covering Steve Sewell.
That ball thrown right down at Sewell's knees. Very difficult to catch. Running away from it. Now Elway throughout his career has been a great quarterback throwing the ball on the run. This one too low. That's a very difficult catch for anybody to make. It's also interesting that on 3rd and about 12 they throw a 3-yard pattern.
Well, the Denver Broncos have done it statistically, but it is only a 7-3 lead on the scoreboard. Third down 12, 48. And Elway, looking to go sideline, was nearly picked off. Mark Jackson, the intended receiver, but it was off the mark, and John Baylor had a shot at it.
Man-to-man coverage by Indianapolis. John had time to throw this, although he's got pressure. There are people around him. It's not big-time pressure. It's Sam Clancy, 76, right at him. But he expected Jackson to go a little deeper. Almost picked off.
And Mike Horan will punt to Clarence Verdun. There's Verdun now back at his 10. Leads the AFC in punt returns. Got a good one off in the first half, but held in check. Oh, look out. Horan. And now able to step up and get it away. Did a nice job. Penalty marker down.
Yeah. Illegal man downfield. No question about that. That was a good snap. It just bounced right through his hands.
41-yard punt. And let's see what the call will be.
Illegal man downfield.
Interior lineman, illegally downfield. Number 54, number 51 of the offense. Repeat, fourth down.
That's Bishop and Munford.
He could have called them all, though.
Yes, take your pick.
Now, this is a good snap. But he just... And look, he almost looks like he's going to run it here, and he says, no, 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 wait a minute, I'm going to kick this thing.
Yes, he had a 12 yards plus for the first down. Horan, a Pro Bowl punter last year, leading the NFL in net average. Now will punt from his 28, a long count. And now gets a good one off. And Verdun let it bounce. It is spotted at the 17, so this is a 46-yard punt as this third quarter has come to a close. Trumpy as this fourth quarter gets underway. Denver with a 7-3 lead on Indianapolis. The Colts first down from the 17-yard line. Trudeau throws short range and is able to complete to Albert Bentley. Dennison and Fletcher on the stop. Raiders with the 13-7 lead. Seattle maintaining a 7-point lead. Philadelphia now moving in front, a 7-5. And Pittsburgh continues with the 3-0 lead in the third. New Orleans, nothing's changed, 13-7 over the Jets. Second down and 6. Only a 4-yard hookup on a completion to Bentley. Trudeau at his 21-yard line. Dickerson with a good block, but Trudeau couldn't find anyone and runs for the first down. Simon Fletcher was there to cover up on Jack Trudeau. Ron Meyer telling us last night that Trudeau's performance against Buffalo last week was the best that he has played since Meyer took over as head coach. You know, you look back at Trudeau's career as a rookie starter in 1986. He went 0-11. He did set team records as a rookie, throwing 53 passes one game and 57. Took over for the injured Gary Hogaboom in 87, leading the Colts into the playoffs. Has a first down right here on the screen. Dickerson across the 25.
Oh, they blew that one up. Michael Brooks makes the tackle, but that had no chance to work. There were Denver Broncos all over the place out there. This was not sold well, and you do have to sell a screen. Watch Dickerson. You see Mecklenburg coming out there on the pass rush. There's Brooks, 56. Tyrone Braxton, 34. He's got no place to go. You saw that Colt drive chart. They have struggled all day long for any kind of consistent offense, Marv.
Second down and 10 at the 29. Dickerson has been held in check in terms of rushing. And the completion. That's Andre Rison.
Rookie mistake. He had the first down.
And falls short because he cut the other way.
He runs the square in beautifully, and he's got enough yardage. This is his zone. That's Wyman Henderson right there at that yard marker. He's got it. Now he's going to try to make a big play. He loses 3 yards, and it ends up costing the Indianapolis Colts a first down.
Instead of 3rd down and 2, Rison, first-round draft pick, rookie from Michigan State, with a 2nd reception of the day. We're just underway in the 4th quarter. Denver 7, Indianapolis 3. 3rd down and 2. Dickerson looks to get outside and cannot.
The Broncos have done a great job all day long. Anytime you've seen a tight end from Indianapolis coming in motion, the defense is rotated that way. Braxton makes the tackle, but the guy who makes the play is going to come flying across the screen here. Dennis Smith, 49. There you see Boyer trying to make a block on him, and you see Dickerson. He can't turn the ball up. He's averaged about 3 yards per carry today. Dickerson has.
And Ron Stark will punt once again to Ken Bell, who is back, I would think, anxiously at the 20. And let's see how he handles this one. Cleanly, and then goes down, not taking any chances, and gets the sardonic roar from the crowd. 45-yard punt. Michael Ball on the coverage. We'll be back after these messages. From him against Denver, 159 yards on the ground for Dickerson, who is playing with a pulled hamstring, but still, the Broncos have done a terrific job in defending Eric Dickerson. Denver now 1st down from the 22, 12.5 to go in the 4th. Denver 7, Indianapolis 3. And this is Winder. Found the hole, gets up to the 26, stopped by John Hand, who's able to make it back. Lacerated left hand was the word, on hand, appropriately enough.
Broncos drive chart today. You see that the 12-play drive and the 16-play drive all took place in the 2nd quarter. Well, they absolutely dominated. In the 2nd half, nothing. Basically nothing for either team. This game is slow to a walk here.
And the critical call made by Ann Reeves. Final seconds of the 1st half, going for it. 4th and goal from the 1. 2nd down and 6. And it is a 1st down. Vance Johnson. He's been the hot receiver for Denver. McDonald and Harrod combined to make the stop. That's 7 catches, 80 yards for Johnson. Check of the scores. Philadelphia now by a 14-5 margin. Cunningham with a 2-yard pass to Chris Carter, and then one for 40 to Carter. So the Eagles pulling away. Pittsburgh now with a 10-0 lead, and the Steelers have turned things around. 1st down, Denver from its 34. Winder with the short pickup. Right defensive end, John Hand, makes the stop.
Broncos have certainly changed personalities this season. You see him really trying to control the line of scrimmage. Carry 60 on 78 Hand. I think it's a stalemate. The Hand is in there to assist, but a 3-yard pickup. This young, big now offensive line for the Denver Broncos carries over 300 pounds. Juriga close to 300. Parts 280.
It is a 2nd and 6. And once again, it is Winder running well, trying to push forward for the 1st down. Looks to be short. Harrod on the stop. So Sammy Winder, who came on for Bobby Humphrey, who left with the bruised ribs, has carried it, as you see, 13 times for 67 yards. Sammy Winder coming in, averaging just over 3 per carry. Runs hard and runs low, as we just saw, and he was trying to collect the 1st down on that last thrust.
Never really gotten a lot of credit out here, but is one of the most consistent running backs Denver's ever had. Doesn't cough it up.
3rd down, less than a yard. Winder again, and has the 1st down. Winder out to midfield. Good block by the rookie from Boston College, Doug Wydell, who has come out at right guard, has been spotting Jim Juriga.
Again, Marvin, excellent push up front. An outstanding push by all these guys. It's just straight ahead. They get the bow in this defensive line, and it's easy for Winder to get up through there. There's nothing fancy about this. They roll out the nose tackle, and it's an easy 4-yard pickup for a first down. Drive stays alive.
Now the lone deep back is the fullback, Jeff Alexander. First down at midfield. Play action. Elway, incomplete. Intended for Johnson. Covered by Daniel.
Quick slant off the play action, and John is mad at himself. He threw that ball into the ground. Now he pulled a muscle on his left leg on Thursday. This is a nice move by Johnson. If this ball is thrown anywhere close where he can keep running and catch it, it's a nice completion. As you can see, once again, he doesn't really follow through, and he's mad at himself, not Johnson. Doggone it.
Yeah.
You can't miss those opportunities.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, something like that.
Second down and 10 at the 49. Elway over the center, Keith Karts, who incidentally is bothered by a right ear infection. Winder stopped by Plummer. That can make some interesting execution between the center and the quarterback, because Elway has to lean into the left ear of Keith Karts.
In the shotgun, sometimes has to turn his head. Now here's a nice lead block by Alexander, 40 on Plummer. They've done a great job at the offensive line of scrimmage today. Karts has been big on Harvey Armstrong, the nose tackle. They really shoved him out of there.
Winder has gone for 80 yards, 15 carries, third down 4 at the Indianapolis 45. Elway off the roll.
In too low.
Intended for Sewell, and Elway having his troubles in the second half. Now 4 for 12, intercepted once.
That's the same play they ran to this side. It's kind of a half roll by John Elway. Sewell is the intended receiver, and he throws it right down at his knees. He can't make that catch and pick up the first down.
And here's Mike Horan back at his 40. Clarence Verdun awaiting the punt at the 10. Denver has done very poorly in punt coverage, although after that early good return by Verdun, they have settled down. Ran a directional punter and does just that.
That's a good one.
Yes. He put it right where he wanted to.
That's a good one.
40-yard punt and no return. You cannot do any their 5-yard line. Denver has certainly done it on the ground. Sammy Winder has come on strong, replacing the injured Bobby Humphrey. And now Trudeau looking at the first down from deep in his own territory. He fumbled the snap. Able to recover.
Mark, coming into this ball game, people in Denver thought that the statistic that the Broncos defense was #1 against the rush in the NFL through 5 weeks, thought, well, you know, look who they've played. It's not really true. It's not really real. You see Trudeau, again, a bad snap, but Denver Bronco defense has not allowed Eric Dickerson to really get through the line of scrimmage for all but one play, and that statistic is going to improve off of this game.
It is a 2nd and 9 from the 6. Trudeau with the time, and almost caught by Brooks. Mark Mumford got a piece of it, but Brooks was able to follow it.
He is wide open. Trudeau has time, sets well, ball thrown. Looks like Dennison, 55, gets his hand up there, but doesn't make contact with it, and Brooks should catch this one. Excuse me, it's Mark Mumford who had his hand up there.
And it's been a quiet day for Brooks. Only 1 catch. That's been it. And he has been the hot man for the Colts. Third down and 9. Back at the 6. And Trudeau just does get it away, and again it was nearly picked off. Wyman Henderson had a shot at it. The pass intended for Clarence Verdun. Pressure from Alfonso Carricker. And here it is.
Pressure all over Jack Trudeau. It's Alfonso Carricker, 92, right in his face. He throws that ball in desperation. Henderson is all over Verdun. You can see that Henderson's in better position to catch it than Verdun is.
Bob, I don't mean to be cruel here, but I am being cruel when I say Indianapolis has been better off in their punting situations with Ken Bell handling the ball. They've had a number of excellent opportunities with Bell, but this time he handled it cleanly, and here he goes. Ivy Joe Hunter with the stop, and Ken Bell says take that off a 45-yard punt and a 27-yard return. Bell provides the Broncos with superb field position.
Watch how he makes sure of that catch, and then the picket line is set up. He gets through that first wave. Ivy Joe Hunter with the stop. Good field position for Denver.
For Houston, Miami makes it 2 in a row. Giants again over Washington. Atlanta nipping New England. San Francisco with Steve Young at quarterback for the injured Joe Montana, beating Dallas. So Dallas now record of 0-6. First down at the 27 off that good punt return by Bell. Sammy Winder stopped by John Hand, a 2-yard advance. Hand and Harrod in on the tackle. Detroit with its first victory of the season. Herschel Walker in his Minnesota debut only ran for 148 yards.
Of course, their money's worth out of him.
Very
right
familiar
away
with the Green Bay Packers. He faced them in the Dallas uniform last week. Raiders extending the lead. And Pittsburgh with a 10-0 lead on Cleveland. New Orleans leading the Jets next week, starting with NFL Live. That is our lineup. Suggest you check your local listings for the game in your area. 2nd and 8 at the 25. Oh, big hit on Winder by Hand. And on the subject of NFL Live, let's go to Bob Costas in our New York studios.
All right, Marv, you talked about Herschel's 148 yards. Here's the biggest single chunk of it. His first play from scrimmage as a Viking, takes the Tommy Kramer handoff. Big hole opens, then he does the rest himself. Might have gone all the way, but he throws a shoe here. Settles for 47 yards until he's caught from behind by Tim Harris. Marv, all your buddies at NFL Live say hello. Back to you and Trump.
Thank you so much. I particularly wanted to get together again with the insiders, Bob. It's a 3rd down and 9. The 26. Elway rolling to his left. And then firing and completing. Michael Young with his first catch of the day. A Plan B free agent from the Los Angeles Rams, stopped by the combination of Daniel and Good.
Boy, this is a huge play. Young comes from all the way across the field. Now watch the hit. He gets up a little bit shaken, but that's an awful nice catch. That was an intentional roll by the Denver Broncos, and Elway's roll to his right. Not had much good luck throwing it. He rolls to his left and throws very well.
Most unusual to see that roll to the left side. First down at the 15. Mobley in motion again to the ground. Winder on the slant, running well. Stopped by Pickett. It is a 7-3 Denver lead. Biasucci hit from 55 yards out early in the first quarter after he missed from 49. That is a career best for Biasucci, and it is the longest field goal in the NFL this season. 52 yards was the longest before today. That was done on 5 occasions, and then Humphrey took it in from 2 yards away. That is Harvey Armstrong, who is shaken up.
He's the nose tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. The Broncos have done an outstanding job today. They've gotten 29 carries and 122 yards out of their tailbacks. Humphrey in the first half and Winder in the second half. You see right there in front of number 7, Harvey Armstrong. It looks like he gets his leg collapsed by Keith Karts. Dan Reeves told us yesterday what he wanted, the commitment he made to this football team in the offseason. Run the ball and stop the run. And today, against a very worthy opponent, the Indianapolis Colts, they basically shut down Eric Dickerson and run the ball almost at will.
Eric Dickerson, only 13 carries, 35 yards. Came in with the sprained right hamstring. Appeared to be a little down when we were chatting with him last night. He said he never had an injury like this for a sustained period of time. He'd have it for a game and then he would heal, but not like this. And he's been affected.
Yeah, there's no question. Of course, it affects his practice time, so he's not really sharp with the offensive line, and that too affects how well he can do.
It is a 2nd and 5 for Denver. Down at the Indianapolis 10-yard line. 4:08 to go in the 4th quarter. Winder off the pitch is stopped at the line. Wayne Bickett, who comes off an outstanding game against Buffalo last week, leads the Colts in tackles in his 5th season out of the University of Southern California.
They're just beginning to use Dwayne Bickett the way Bill Muir, the defensive coordinator, wants to. He had a back injury in preseason. Really couldn't even get down in his stance. As this season, there's Bill Muir right there. The headset on. Talking with Mitchell Benson. Here's a big down for the Denver Broncos.
Looking at a 3rd and 5 at the 10. And the inside handoff to Winder. Looking to go wide.
He got the first.
Has the first down. John Baylor reaching, finally was able to get Winder to the ground.
There's not much deception here. You see 54 Keith Bishop out with a little trap block, and then he runs through the arms of that tackler. And John Baylor finally gets him out, but it is enough for a first down.
It is a 1st and goal at the 4. The Broncos were down here before late in the first half, and Elway was stopped. Again, the inside handoff. The big fullback Alexander, though, has his forward progress stacked. Bickett and Pryor combining, and the Colts continue to excel defensively down at the goal line.
Certainly making it tough for the Denver Broncos. But this is a big change in the way the Broncos function as we're about to have the 2-minute warning.
See the clock running down when we resume. It will be a 2nd and goal at the 2. Denver up 7-3. Intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Denver Broncos and the National Football League is prohibited. And this game is the property of the NFL. All rights reserved. Thanks to our producer Glenn Adamo, director Andy Rosenberg, our statistician, Mr. Stats himself, Elliot Cobb, with help from Ray Friedman, and our spotters Brad Pearson and Merritt Cohn as you sweep around our 10-minute ticker. And coming up tonight, the lineup, the magical world of Disney, presenting an all-new episode of A Brand New Life starring Barbara Eden, followed by the no-nonsense comedy Sister Kate, and My Two Dads, that a world premiere movie. Dick Van Patten and the entire Bradford family invite you to attend an 8 is Enough wedding. That's tonight only on NBC. 2nd and goal at the 2. 2 minutes to go in this 4th quarter. And the handoff to Winder. And he is in for the score. So Sammy Winder, who came on for Bobby Humphrey, has done a magnificent job. 93 yards on the ground, 21 carries, and 1 touchdown, which you just saw. David Treadwell putting it through. The 93 yards, particularly impressive when you consider he did not rush for any yards at all in the first quarter. 14-3 lead on the Indianapolis Colts. And it's time for the Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser. And there is today's MVP, Sammy Winder, who did it coming off the bench. And Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVPs selected in today's games. Here is the Denver kickoff by Treadwell. And it sends Verdun way back. So they'll bring it out to the 20.
Marv, all day long we have complimented the offensive line of the Denver Broncos, and we got to do it again here. They do a great job of just shoving at the line of scrimmage. They get a great bow. You'll see Winder cut back, and he breaks this tackle right here to get in the end zone. That is the 42nd rush that the Denver Broncos have had today. Watch this good push. You see that extra effort by Sammy Winder, our most valuable player. And Denver has controlled the line of scrimmage. I'm not sure the Indianapolis Colts expected Denver to do that to this defensive line. Last week, the Colts did a great job against Buffalo. Today, Denver had them any way they wanted them.
And Trudeau starting from his 20-yard line off the touchback. Seeing the pressure, able to complete to Bentley. And Bentley, breaking tackles, has the first down. Kip Carrington making the stop. And once again, the Denver Broncos doing it without getting a sensational game from John Elway, who did not throw a touchdown today. He's thrown for only 5 in 6 games. Trudeau going sideline, and Pruitt could not hang on. He was covered by Mark Haynes. But the Broncos doing it with the balanced attack. And Sammy Winder instrumental in this 14-3 lead. Bobby Humphrey was going well in the early going, then he bruised his ribs and he was forced out. No word on the severity of the injury to Humphrey.
Look at that. What a change that is for the Denver Broncos. Dan Reeves certainly keeping to his commitment. Run and stop the run. Today they've done a grand job of both.
2nd and 10. Trudeau able to complete to Dickerson out at the 40-yard line. Clock is running. Tyrone Braxton on the stop. Denver Broncos gunning for a record of 5-1, leading in the AFC West, while Indianapolis will drop to 3 up and 3 down unless there is a miraculous turn over this final minute. So Buffalo will be by themselves on top at 3-2. Bentley on the completion. Buffalo at home tomorrow night to face the undefeated Los Angeles Rams. Timeout has been called, and let's head back to our New York studios for Bob Costas and NFL Live.
Marv, a couple of weeks ago, if I told you Bo Jackson was 11 for 85, you'd say he was in a horrendous slump. But in the NFL, 11 carries for 85 yards is plenty good, especially when you haven't played in almost a year. Here he is just back. This 39-yard run against the Chiefs set up a Vance Mueller touchdown a few moments later. 85 yards in all for Bo. He's back, and the Raiders lead KC 27 in the 4th.
All right, Bob, 48 seconds remaining here in the 4th quarter. Denver with a 14-3 lead on Indianapolis. The Broncos have won 3 of 3 going into today against the Colts here in Denver. And a look at the AFC East standings. Indianapolis to drop to a 3-3. Miami with their 2nd straight victory, also at 3 up and 3 down. It's a first down at the 47 for the Colts. Trudeau out of the pocket. And it's incomplete. Intended for Clarence Verdun. Randy Robbins on the coverage.
Tipped the ball away. Well, this has been, I think, some vindication for this Denver Bronco football team. With this win, they are clearly in control of the AFC West. And, of course, last year at 8-8, they were 2-6 in the Western Division, already 3-0. Wade Phillips, the defense coordinator, got to be very proud of his charges today. By the way, Dan Reeves said that he hired Wade Phillips because Wade Phillips was not a screamer. Thought that was one of the best things a coach could be, is get it done without screaming at his players.
Tyrone Braxton got a piece of it. The pass intended for Andre Rison. Well, Reeves, a guy who dresses usually with a coat and a tie because he says it helps calm him down on the sidelines. Also going for the suspender look recently, but he feels he's more civilized.
More civilized, okay. I imagine that after some losses on Monday or Tuesday, he can be rather uncivilized. Matter of fact, if Ken Bell hadn't had that good punt return that led to that last touchdown, he could show some lack of civility.
Third down and 10, and Trudeau going deep, and it is picked off. Dennis Smith off the pass intended for Bill Brooks, and Smith was looking for a lateral, couldn't find anybody, and keeps going as he breaks tackles with 21 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter.
This is the prevent defense run by the Denver Broncos. You see Ron Meyer disgusted with his team's performance on the sideline. This is just a hope shot. Bill Brooks, 80s, the intended receiver. Dennis Smith, the old man, back in that defensive backfield. Well, he's got to be proud of his teammates around him. This is as good a Denver Bronco defense as been on the field the last 10 years here.
Dennis Smith on the return going for 47 yards. Trudeau picked off for the first time, and the Broncos will just run down the clock. Well, you mentioned some of those who have questioned the record of the Denver Broncos, but they defeated a quality team this afternoon to make it a record of 5-1 as Indianapolis drops to 3-3.
Marv, not only a quality team in Indianapolis, but a quality team coming off a huge win against Buffalo. I mean, Denver just changed their mind today, totally.
It is a 14-3 final. The Broncos over the Colts to avenge that wipeout of a year ago. The Colts winning 55-23. Next week, Indianapolis plays at Cincinnati. Then they're home for New England, followed by road games at Miami and Buffalo. And then next Sunday, it'll be Denver at Seattle, and then home for Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. So Eric Dickerson held in check. Sammy Winder comes up big. And subbing for the injured Bobby Humphrey, Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy from Mile High. And we are going to send you to Seattle and San Diego. Again, the final, Broncos 14 and the Colts 3.
We'd now like to welcome those of you that have been watching the Indianapolis-Denver game. The final score there, Denver 14, Indianapolis 3. So the Broncos will remain atop the AFC West. Here, as you can see, just under 7 minutes to go, we've got a close one. Seattle leading 17-10. San Diego has the ball. Second down and 9 at their own 47-yard line. Tough fake. Oh, great play. And a great pass. Wayne Walker at the 24-yard line. McMahon showing a beautiful touch down the right side, 29 yards.
Charlie, the thing that makes this play work is the long arm fake by McMahon. Watch this, the fake right there, and the long arm action forced the bite by Dwayne Harper. No chance to recover. Eugene Robinson gets there. Here's the arm action. Watch the quarterback go by. The break, and he fakes that long arm action, pulls the defensive back up, and then delivers the ball over his head. That's a beautiful play by McMahon. Beautiful play.
And San Diego is a first down. They'll mark it at the 23-yard line of Seattle. Marion Butts is the running back, and he's the ball carrier. And he's going to have a yard to the 21. 2 yards to the 21. It'll be second down. The final that we talked about, Denver defeating Indianapolis. The Raiders leading Kansas City, so they'll stay 2 games back. Philadelphia in front of Phoenix comfortably 14-5 for Phoenix, a safety and a field goal. Pittsburgh shutting out Cleveland. That's another upset in the fourth. And New Orleans comfortably in front of the Jets in the fourth quarter by a score of 20-7. Here again, Seattle 17, San Diego 10, moving on the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Dana Brinson is now the H-back. He is the remaining back in this formation. McMahon, a timing pattern, and Miller cannot quite get to it. McMahon had pressure. Brinson was the blocker on the outside rusher, and he couldn't stop him.
Charlie, important to mention here that Brett Miller and Joel Patton, the starting tackles, out of the ball game. James Fitzpatrick, Joey Howard have had to go in there. They've done a good job inside along with Courtney Hall and Richards and